In this section, I'm going to show you how to restore old vinyl records and analog magnetic tape recordings, but let's start with vinyl records. So I'm going to load a choir recording that was brought to me and was originally recorded in the early 1970s. So I'm going to call up that choir recording that we used for the hum removal, but this is the original version, so it's still going to have the hum, and we're going to remove that in a moment. But it's a good idea when you're making multiple sorts of restorations to an audio file to take care of the most obvious ones first. And when we listen to this recording, we're going to hear that the hum is not nearly as noticeable as the popping and clicking. Let's take a listen. So we're going to get rid of those pops and clicks first. So what I'm going to do is mark a selection of the audio right about here, and then I'm going to go to the declick and decrackle module and call up the declick mode. And then I'm going to set the algorithm of multi-band, since this is a full range recording, for periodic clicks, and then the click type is going to be a click, or I could choose thump or discontinuity, but since this is not a digital recording, we're probably not going to have any discontinuity errors. We haven't done any other editing on it that might make an error like that. So let's go with the clicks to begin with, and then let's hit the preview button to listen to the removal. And you can see that just in that small section of audio, it repaired 679 clicks. So let's go ahead and process the entire file with those settings. So I'm going to do a Control or Command A to select the entire file and then hit Process. And because this particular file is almost 7 minutes long, it's going to take a little bit of time to process that information. But when it's done, now we can move on to another type of process. Wow, look at all of the pops and clicks that it removed from that audio file. So now let's take a listen to it from about here. And the next thing that I'm hearing is some crackling. So I'm going to hit stop and I'm going to mark an area of that audio, go into the decrackle mode, and I'm going to set the quality on high, the amplitude skew on 0, and the strength is normally set on about 5. And let's try that. Let's hit preview. Now it's a little hard to hear what crackling it's removing, so let's hit the crackle only button. We can hear it's really not removing that much. So let's hit the preview button one more time and increase the strength. There's some of that crackling. So now that we've got a better setting, I'm going to make sure that I uncheck the crackle only checkbox and then do a Control or Command A to select the whole file and hit Process. Now this will also take a little bit of time. And then when it's done, we can go through and listen to the new version. So I'm going to press play. So that sounds a lot better, so I'm going to hit stop and close the declick and decrackle module, and now I'm going to go in and take care of that hum like we did in a previous tutorial, but I'm going to type Control or Command D to deselect that audio file, and I'm going to only choose the very, very beginning of that file, and then click the Zoom to Selection button. That way we can zoom right in on that region, and we're going to be able to see that 60 cycle hum if we adjust our frequency scale a bit here. So I'm going to mouse wheel on that scale and then scroll down until we see some of those low frequencies around 60 hertz. And there they are. I'm going to maybe zoom that together a little bit more so we can see some of those upper harmonics. So there's our fundamental frequency right there and going on up the list. So now I'm going to go into the Remove Hum module, and I'm going to call up the preset of 60 hertz reduce with harmonics, but then I am going to make sure that I learn the correct frequency. So since I've made that selection at the beginning of the file, I'm going to click Learn, and it's going to find that the notch frequency is 59.97 hertz. And since I used this file in a previous tutorial, I know that I'm going to have to narrow those filter cues just a bit. But before I process this audio, I am noticing that there is some low frequency information below 60 hertz that's showing up even in the quiet areas. And so since this is a choir recording, we're not going to have a lot of audible energy in the low ranges. So I'm going to use the high pass filter, and I'm going to set a frequency of 42 hertz, and that will remove some of that rumbling from the audio signal. And then I'm going to hit Controller Command A to select the entire file and come down to the process window, and it's going to go ahead and process that audio. It's going to be very fast, and you'll notice that some of that very low frequency energy is gone, as well as that 60 cycle hum. So now I'm going to close the Remove Hum window and then hit the Zoom Out to Whole File button, and this file is getting really cleaned up, but there's one more thing I want to do, and that is remove the noise from the recording. Since it was all done with analog tape and it's on an analog device, meaning an LP record, I'm going to actually go back into that very early part of the file and then zoom to that selection and then go to the denoise module and make sure that I am in the spectral mode, and I'm going to select a little region here, the quietest region I can find. And you can see that there's some energy down here I don't really want to move. So I'm just going to move this time slider down here a bit. And what I get is a nice empty area void of anything that might be part of the recording that I want to keep. So with my time selection tool, I'm going to make a small selection there, then come over to the denoise module, go into manual mode, and then click the learn button to get that noise fingerprint. And then I'm going to make sure that my quality settings are on the best, and the artifact control is going to be probably a little bit closer to 8. And then I do have the advanced settings open, and I'm going to choose the algorithm of advanced and extreme. I mean, why not? I got a fast computer, so might as well go for broke. Then I'm going to do a Control or Command A to select the entire audio file, and let's go ahead and hit Process. And this is a very, very horsepower intensive process. So this will take a few minutes. And then as this is just about to finish, let's look at the spectrogram here. And wow, look at how much cleaner this audio signal is. So now I'm going to close the denoiser, and I'm going to come down and zoom out to our entire audio file. And now we can take a listen to the before and after of all of that processing. And you're going to be really amazed. Let's play the file from right here, and let's take a listen to the result. Now what I'm going to do is come to the undo window and call up the initial state without any processing on it. So we applied the declick, the decrackle, we removed the hum, and then we denoised the file. Once again, before and after. So by using all of those modules in conjunction to go through and remove all of the things that detract from the enjoyment of the recording, you can really end up with something special and hear things in a way that you've never heard before. So now that we know how to restore vinyl, let's move on to restoring analog tape.